Welcome into the Monday Morning Quarterback UK with your boys Ben, Bids, and Dami. No Chris Gee again, but we'll just get into it. How's it going, Dami? You feeling better after Saturday? Actually, sorry, it's a couple of days ago now. So,
Nah.
what happened?
So, Bids and L hosted a lovely dinner party. Amazing dishes that they served for us.
But do you
But
remember
there
it?
was too much. I do remember it, but there was too much wine. We must have drank all your wine, Bids.
Yeah, there's about 7, 8 bowls there, as well as the spirits that we went through as well.
Wild.
Had to try and wake you up with some espresso martinis.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that did. Yeah, the espresso martini did wake me up, man. And we ended up leaving your house at like 3 o'clock.
And the rest was like
Yeah,
4.
Yeah, I left before.
It was way too late. Like I remember getting home and it was light out. I was like,
Yeah, don't worry about that. It just means you had a good time.
yeah. So yeah,
7 or 8
cheers
bottles
to
of wine is
Biznell.
crazy. So many.
Yeah. And a lot of us drank a lot more than some of the others. Like, I don't think
Yeah, for
Taylor drank
sure.
that much.
Yeah,
The rest of us were just going through it.
Yeah.
Ben stopped early for some reason.
Yeah, but
I
that's
stopped
him.
at
Otherwise,
1
he'd be green
a.m.
right now.
I stopped at 1 a.m. and I was
That's
like,
early.
I'm kind of tired. It's because I was like, wow, man, I'm kind of tired. What time is it? Oh, it's 1 a.m. That's weird. And then looked again and I was like, it's 4 a.m. What the hell just happened? I think I must have fallen asleep on your table or something. I was tired.
Oh man.
You were busted though, damn
It
it.
was a good time though. You
Yeah.
lot owe us though.
Oh yeah, we know we do.
Who's next?
We do owe you. We'll return the favor whenever we can.
Better be soon. I'm always hosting shit.
No.
So
Well,
apart
what about you,
from
Ben?
hosting us, yeah, how was it been?
What do you mean?
Would you also okay outside of Bids's dinner party? What else did you get up to this weekend, or was that literally
Oh,
it?
nothing.
You literally
Yeah, what do you mean? No,
okay.
there was loads of football on. I wasn't going anywhere. Like I said I was able to function the next day. I wasn't saying that I was going out. Like that's not happening. Like
So
we're
you
not
did
like you.
exactly the same thing. You did
No,
exactly the same thing as me.
No, I got up and watched the old Firm Derby. That was absolutely banging.
Yeah, that game was wild.
That was absolutely banging.
I stopped watching when it was 1-0, and then I saw it ended 3-0, and I was like, it's 1-0 half time or something. Ended 3-0.
It was wild. I watched all of that, and then I watched all 3 of the Premier League games. But I wasn't like you, Dami. Like you couldn't get out of bed for a day and a half.
And almost took today off sick.
I don't drink wine. Like you guys need to know this about me. I don't drink wine.
Who made you?
Well, no one, but there were no one.
Just
but
trying to get.
He had no response. He had no response to that cursory question. Who made you? Damn, no one did. I just did this to myself for like no reason.
I mean, I don't know. Jenny was there. I was trying to fit in with Jenny. Like that's all I can say.
Yeah, she can drink her wine, man.
Yeah.
But we didn't switch up our drinks either. We stayed with wine, whereas you were jumping all over the place.
Yeah, I jumped. I was having beers while I was going into the kitchen to like prepare new dishes. I'll go in there, drink a beer, come
I
back out.
remember that. You just came back with half-drunk beer. I was like, you did not have that before.
Don't worry about that.
Guy came back with scallops and half a drunk beer. I was like, what the hell is happening here?
To be fair, Elle was making great mojitos as well. So.
Oh yeah, we started off with a mojito actually.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
All right. That's enough about the weekend. What are we doing today?
What are we doing today? Okay, cool. So we'll do, like we said before, we'll do a bit more draft stuff in a couple of weeks. There's not a huge amount happening in the league right now. Everyone's doing like pre-draft prep, looking at tape, like seeing who they're going to draft, all that kind of stuff. It's a bit quiet in the league at the moment. So we'll do a bit more on that in a couple of weeks. So this week we're going to do best 5 teams of all time. So the year and then the team and why we think that they are so good. So that's throughout the whole of history, basically since the 60s. We ain't going further back. We'll just do 60s. 60s onwards, damn it.
Could you go further back?
I mean, people were playing like in 1885. There was a game in 1885. Remember we did history of the NFL? That Yale game was 1885 or something? But
yeah, man, I remember.
There's been games played for there's been games played a long time. But so, Dami, if you've got like the 1927, like some nonsense team, then you need to scrap that off because it seems like the kind of thing he would
Nah,
do.
nah. The earliest team I got is the '60s, I think.
All right, cool. I thought he was just throwing it
Yeah.
in like ChatGPT and just giving me best teams of all time,
No,
but not
no,
asking
no,
for
no,
real
no,
teams. He's going to put like the
no, no, no.
1855 Cougars or something. Like, what the hell is that?
I mean, if I was involved in this, that's exactly what I would do.
You
But it's just you two doing it, and then I'm just here to ask some questions.
Jesus.
All right, Dammy, you go first.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Dami, this is your top five, yeah?
Okay. Do you want me to go from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
5-1.
5 to 1. Okay. So we're starting at 5, and this is a team that I'll refer to as America's team. So it's the Dallas Cowboys. From 1991 to 1995, they won 3 Super Bowls out of 4 years, and then it was obviously the big three in Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith led them to their 3 Super Bowls, and Jimmy Johnson was the lead driver as head coach for them. Unfortunately, he had a falling out with the general manager and the CEO of the Dallas Cowboys, which kind of led to him not really getting the respect he deserves from the Cowboy Nation. But yeah, so at number 5, I've got the Dallas Cowboys, 1991 to 1995.
But which year? The 92 Cowboys.
Yes, the 1992 Cowboys. Yeah,
This guy gave a range.
yeah,
You got to pick a
yeah.
year
So
and
I've
a
got a
team,
range.
man. It's not dynasties.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, for me, I was looking at dynasties, and then I didn't want to really pick a specific year. But if you want me to, I can. So
Yeah, because we're not
number
doing
4.
dynasties.
Okay, sure. Number 4, the team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going for their team in 1978. So
Okay.
this was with Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Lynn Swan. They were not only they had 10 Hall of Famers in that team, which, if you know anything about the Hall of Fame, is an insane amount of players to have it at one particular time who eventually
Uh-huh.
make it to the Hall of Fame.
All
Um,
right, cool.
Why do you
they
say that?
because normally in your team you might have one, two, maybe three. To have 10 at the same time means you have literally 10 of the best players in their position at the same time. Like you might see maybe like the current 49ers, you might see maybe 3 or 4 of them become Hall of Famers, but to have 10 at the same time is an insane amount. Like like
Fair enough.
it doesn't really make sense for that to happen unless you have really good drafting, or you're making insane trades. But of course, this was before the salary cap era, so like it could have been possible. But yeah, and then
Number
going
three.
at number 3, we're going with the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm going to go for the 1989 San Francisco 49ers. This was with Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, and Steve Young was on the bench. So if you know about Steve Young, is that he would take the role as a quarterback from Joe Montana, and he would lead them to another Super Bowl. But to have a team with 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks who are both wicked players, to have them on your team and have Jerry Rice, who's kind of classed as the best wide receiver ever. Um, yeah, it's an insane team to have, and I know we're not talking about dynasties, but they won 3 in 7 years with that team, so it's still a pretty good team. And then number 2, so I'm going with the Chiefs now. And I'm going with the Chiefs of
The current
2023.
Chiefs.
Yes, I'm going with the Chiefs of 2023. And
Okay.
now, in terms of
Ben's reaction,
individual
by the way.
players,
Ben's reaction.
in terms of individual players, probably not. Probably they're probably not the second best team ever. However, what I would say is, for that team to go back to back, that's only the second time that's happened in the Super Bowl era. So, well, actually, not in the Super Bowl era. It's only the second time that's happened in like the last 30 years. So they are an amazing team. It was mostly built on their defense, actually, rather than their offense, because their offense, they've lacked the weapons outside of Travis Kelsey for the last few years since Tyreek Hill left. But to have but their defense basically won them the championship, especially this year with Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Snead, who ended up going to the Titans. But yeah, like they've had Trent McDuffie as well. Can't forget him. Like they are, and I think I wanted to name a team that I've actually watched because of course I can
Fair.
do my research and I can look at all these teams that were in the 70s and 80s, but I've actually never really watched these teams. I don't know what they were like. The YouTube videos are a bit hazy, so I think I was like, let me choose a team that I've actually witnessed with my own two eyes. And then the first one, which is just obvious, it has to be the 2014 New England Patriots because so people might say the 2007, but I wanted to choose a 2014 because I think they were the best team and they finally got their mojo back after a few years of not winning of losing Super Bowls and not making it to the Super Bowl, and to get almost back over the hump in 2014 with Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Gronkowski, Edelman. I think that was an excellent team. And yeah, so I would say they were my number one team. I can see Ben probably disagreed with most, if not all of
Ben,
them.
his reactions throughout the whole thing were jokes.
Yeah, but
Baffled by some
yeah,
of that.
okay, sure. Tell me which ones you're baffled by the most.
Well, hold
No,
on,
no, no.
Dami. Just do a five to
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're 5-1 again. Just go over
Sure.
who
Yeah.
was
Okay.
number 5 to number 1. Go.
So number 5 was the Dallas Cowboys of '92, Pittsburgh Steelers of 1978, San Francisco 49ers in 1989, Kansas City Chiefs of 2023, so the year just gone, and the New England Patriots 2014.
Okay.
Yep.
And Ben just
Hey,
side-eyeing you.
I'm like 2014 Patriots. I was not expecting that to be your number one. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. He saved this team for the bottom because we had a couple that were the same. I was like, all right, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
He saved this team for the bottom. Didn't list them first. Didn't even have him in his top five. All right, cool. Do you want me to go through my top five?
Sure.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. So at 5 we got the 62 Packers. At 4 we got the
Sure.
'07 Patriots. At 3 we got the '89
Yeah.
49ers. At 2 I got the '78 Steelers, and at 1 I got the 1972 Dolphins.
Okay.
1972
This guy
Dolphins.
didn't
You have to
have that
explain that one.
Dolphins team. Is crazy to me.
So I think so for me, I chose teams that not only had like a successful year but had sustained dominance. So like if you look at all my teams, they are all dynasties. But I chose
Yeah.
one
Okay.
particular year which I thought, okay,
Okay.
either they went through a bit of a gap in the winning and they finally won it because like what do they say? The next one's always the hardest one to get, or
Okay. You did
or I
it based on
or
dynasty.
yeah, I kind of did it based on dynasties. But yeah, like I understand
So
Miami Dolphins with Don Shula and them, man. Like Don Shula holds the record for the most amount of wins. So,
Yeah.
like,
That
obviously he's
72
that guy.
that that '72 Dolphins team did not get defeated and won the Super Bowl bids. They won
how
every
many games
game.
how many games were there in that season?
I think it was
15?
15 game season.
Yeah.
I think 15 game season, and they won 3 games. So it
That's
was an 18
crazy.
win 18 win season. They didn't lose.
Damn.
Anyway, cool.
And you didn't pick that team, Danny, in your top 5.
Nah,
You just decided to hear the exam question and just ignore it and
pretty
do
much
whatever you
it.
wanted.
Pretty much it.
Alright, cool. Alright, Ben, let's hear your explanations.
Jeez. All right, cool. So, Dammy, who do you have at 5? Let's go through them again.
Dallas Cowboys, 1992,
Okay, cool. What
America's
did you
team.
say your reasoning was for that?
I think first of all, it was the fact that they won 3 in 4 years, and also
Mhm.
the main three players they had. So Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, and Michael Irvin. They are probably three of the biggest offensive talents well, first of all, to ever play for Dallas and to ever work and to be known as a trio. Like they are known as a trio. Like it's not just like, oh, they're three good players who played together for a short time. They were known together, and I think they got drafted together. as well,
Not sure.
which made it even more like miraculous that they were able to do it together. So yeah, I chose them.
Yeah. I had them, I think, like 8. I had them out of my top 5. But I did have them in the top 10.
Yeah.
That 92 team was stacked.
Mm.
All right, cool. So my 5 was 1962 Packers. So that obviously seems like a long time ago, so it's hard to kind of gauge them against some of the modern teams. But just to give you some information about them, so most of the games they played were a blowout. They outscored their opponents 414 to 148.
Yay.
Nah.
Yay.
So in the previous year in 61, the Eagles beat the Packers. So the
Okay.
Packers then went into the Eagles and beat them 49-0 the following
Of
year,
course.
en route to the Super Bowl. And in that game, they had 628 yards to the Eagles 54.
50.
They got 54
What
yards.
happened?
Yeah.
They just didn't turn up.
They got busted down. So yeah, that game's been dubbed as Lombardi's revenge, because Lombardi was the coach of the Packers at the time, and in the previous year he lost that game en route to the Eagles. So it's been described as Lombardi's revenge because he cooked them. Yeah.
What's the least amount of yards in a game?
That I think is the biggest. I think that is still the biggest discrepancy.
Definitely the biggest spread, but what's the least amount of?
Now there must have been
yards,
a game with that's lower than that. I remember there being like a Titans game where they had like 25 or 30 or something stupid. Like I don't remember.
I might look this up.
Yeah, look it up. I don't know, but 54 is nothing. They got so many negative plays on that game. They must have done. But
I mean, it makes sense. That,
I found it already. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Is it negative? It's going to be negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
The Seattle Seahawks have the fewest all-purpose yards by a team in a game with -7 against the Rams in 1979.
How'd you get?
I don't even know how. That's wild.
That's busted. You can't get.
How bad you have to be to get -7?
Might have been a snow game as well. Those can sometimes be a bit wild. I don't know.
I mean, it was in November, so potentially.
Don't know.
Was it in Seattle?
Yeah. Nah, well, I think it was in Los Angeles.
Definitely wasn't a snow game then.
No.
Damn.
They lost 24-0.
Only 24.
It's -7
yards. That's not bad actually.
Yeah.
You get -7 yards, but you lose by 24.
-7, -5, then it jumps up to 24.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I can see your 54 yards on here for that Eagles game.
Yes, nuts. One other thing I had on here, so they had 11 Hall of Famers on that team, which is also pretty nuts. And but the main reason they're lower than maybe you'd think with that, like 11 Hall of Famers, they blew out everybody, like they killed it that year, is because lack of competition. Like it was only against 14 teams, and everyone was kind of not great. Like they didn't really play anyone especially good. So like I think that year's been described as like a really really good team. If they'd beaten some better teams or there'd been more games, you might have given them a bit more of a bit more of a pass. But there weren't as many games, I think, was the only thing that people have given it. And yeah, just lack of competition. All right, cool. Who was your 4, Dami?
So number 4 was Pittsburgh Steelers of 1978.
Yeah, I had them too. I had them second, like Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, 10 Hall of Famers. Did you know that team was the reason they changed the rule about contact after 5 yards? So you know the rule where you're not allowed to make contact. Yeah, you're not allowed to make contact after 5 yards. That's when it's like pass interference and stuff. But within 5 yards, you can kind of shuck players and get hands on them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's like holding downfield and stuff like that. Like you can grip them within 5 yards, but anything after that, you've got to kind of give them space, and then you like D them up with a bit of space. That team is the reason they changed that rule that year, because their cornerback, I can't remember his name, was just rocking everybody. Like they had to change the rule because he was taking people out. They changed it that year. They were like, this is unacceptable. We can't let this run. These guys are getting absolutely cooked, because that team was mean. Like Mean Joe Green, man. It might have been Mean Joe Green, actually. Hold on, I don't remember who it was.
Was it Herb Adderley?
I don't remember, but he was cooking everybody. So changed the rule. But they also had to beat a very good Cowboys team. So people said again that they didn't have a huge amount of competition in that year, but they did have to beat a very good Cowboys team that had won the Super Bowl the previous year, and that was the year they played Starbuck, like you said, in that game, and they had to beat them, and they did. So it's like they did play some like if they didn't have to beat that team, this team would probably be a bit lower. But if you had to beat basically what everyone considered the best team or one of the top 3 teams in the league, I don't think you can say that your competition was that bad. Like,
True.
but yeah, I had him second because that team was crazy good. Yeah, you had him a little bit lower than I did.
Yeah.
Any other?
Okay, who's your 4 then?
There? Who's my 4?
No.
Yeah, you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you had the 78 Steelers. So my 4th was the 2007 Patriots. So this one's a bit more controversial just because they didn't win the Super Bowl, which a lot of people would say that probably excludes them from a top 5, which I get. But so just a little bit of information. So that team had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, and Tom Brady. Tom Brady won his first MVP after setting the league. Well, he hit a record in that year. It was a league record at the time with 50 touchdown passes. They acquired Randy Moss in that year, and he then set an NFL record, which is still the NFL record now, which is 23 touchdown receptions. Like, that's stupid. And no team has ever posted a better point differential. So the Packers one was 260 point differential. The Patriots was 315. Like,
wow.
They cooked everybody in that year. They just lost out in the Super Bowl to the Giants. It's a bit like some people would say, well, they didn't win the big game, therefore they're not one of the best teams. It's like it's one game, and yeah, it's the big game, but like they won everything that year. They were nuts that year. They just had a bit of an upset against the Giants, and some people exclude them from the top 5 because of that. But that team was stupid good. 23 touchdown catches, Randy Moss. That's stupid.
What was the record this year?
I don't know, like 16, 17 maybe? I don't know.
15.
15, there you go. Who was it?
Kyron Williams.
Yeah. With 15 receptions. Kyron Williams was a running back.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad. Was it receipt? Oh, my bad.
Receiving touchdowns.
CD Lamb, 14.
With 14, yeah. See, like 14.
Yeah.
Like CD Lamb
got 23.
He got 23. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. That's why I had this 2007 Patriots, but I understand why some people had them outside the top 5, because some people automatically exclude if you don't win the Super Bowl. All right, cool. Who'd you have at 3, Demi?
So I had the 89 49ers.
Yeah, the 89 49ers in 3rd as well. Okay, we got one bang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like prime Joe Montana, prime Jerry Rice, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, which you mentioned. Steve Young was the backup QB. You didn't mention he's a Hall of Famer. Like,
oh yeah.
The guy's a Hall of Famer, and he was the backup QB. Best offense in the league, over 70% passing completions for pass completion percentage for Joe Montana, and an unbelievably good defense as well. Like it's kind of just one of those well-rounded teams where like this team really would have struggled to lose. Like when they started getting on that run, when they won the Super Bowl in that year, just like, could anyone really have beaten them? They played good teams, they beat them. Like it didn't really look like they had a hole in that team at all. Like, oh, even if Joe Montana goes down, oh, don't worry, you got Steve Young on the bench. Like it didn't matter. They could have beaten you regardless. And that team was just absolutely stacked. Obviously Jerry Rice, best receiver ever. Yeah, absolutely nuts.
For sure.
Cool. Who'd you have at 2?
So I had this year's Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know about that player. I don't know about that one.
Yeah. So
okay, talk to me. Let's break down your reasoning, because this is the one where I got questions.
Okay. So you want to see if my maths is mathing, basically?
Yeah, I don't believe it at all.
Okay, so my logic is that first of all, on individual talent wise, definitely not. But to go back to back, the first time since the Patriots, you have the best quarterback of the era. You have the best tight end of the era. you have the best coach of the era. You might have the best defensive lineman of the era. I don't know. Aaron Donald has a shout for that, and you clearly have the best D coordinator of the era, because that defensive coordinator has taken first year and second year starters and turned them into the best defense in the league consistently for 2 years. You've won 2 Super Bowls, which realistically in that era, 2 Super Bowls which really you probably shouldn't have won. Like the 49ers game, most people were thinking the 49ers going to win this. They definitely have the talent. They have the talent advantage there.
Mm.
And then for the Chiefs to come back after losing to the Bengals losing to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game the year before, coming back and winning the Super Bowl the way they did against the Eagles when they were down, weren't they down like 2 scores at halftime against the
Yeah.
Eagles in 22, to come back and to win that as well. I'm like, okay, this team is just more than the talent on the roster. They've got these intangibles that you just can't measure. You just can't measure. And so I was like, these guys are they're a top 2 team. They're a top 2 team in terms of overall teams. And also, I just wanted to add a team I've actually watched, because really I've been following NFL properly for the last 3-4 years. So I was like, well, I can't, yeah, of course I'm going to talk about the old heads like the Steelers, like the 49ers, but I've got to mention the team that I've actually seen. And the Chiefs have been the best team that we've seen the last 4 years. So I had to mention them.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I give you a little bit more of a pass is because you wanted to say a team that you'd seen, but they're not
Yeah.
even the top. They're not even in the top 2 of Chiefs teams. Like when
Really?
I'm looking over stuff, and actually, people when I've just read some stuff, people are saying the 2019 Chiefs team was better than
Yeah,
the
but
2023 Chiefs team.
yeah, but they had they had Tyreek Hill, they had Miko Harmer when he was actually a baller. Like they had,
Exactly.
So they were better.
yeah,
So
but
they
So they were
were.
better.
yeah, but I wasn't watching it in 2019. I couldn't care less
This guy
about
wants
NFL
an
in
underdog
2019.
story. This guy wants an
No,
underdog story.
I'd rather just talk about a team I actually physically watched. That's
Fair
all.
enough, but that 2019 Chiefs was 15-4, and they're the first team to overcome 10-point deficits in 3 straight playoff games. Like, he wanted a comeback. They did 3 games of it. Like, yeah, that team was nuts. But
I,
people generally
I
and
do have a
almost
problem.
exclusively,
I do have a problem with that though.
why?
I respect you. I respect you coming back from. I respect you coming back when you're losing. But why are you always losing? Like,
But you
why
just
do you
said
always
that you
need to come
liked that
back?
about the. But you just said you respected that about the Eagles.
No, I respected it about that game because the Eagles should have beat them. Like the Eagles were a better team. Like
All right.
when you're playing against a team that's better than you, for you to come back, I respect that highly. The Eagles and the 49ers were both better teams talent wise than the Chiefs. Like that just goes without saying. So for them to come back, yes, but when they're losing to teams that they should be beating, then that's when I have a problem. And they seem to make a habit of that.
Fair enough, man. But everyone, when I've read it, everything I've read is I don't know anyone that doesn't from Chiefs teams. But the reason you said it is because you want a team that you'd watched has the '69
Yeah.
Chiefs as the number 1 team. They were 14-3, and they had the second ranked scoring offense and top ranked scoring defense and won the Super Bowl. Like, it's absolutely nuts.
Fair.
They had
Fair.
one of the best defense. They had the best defense and the second best offense. Like,
Wow.
that's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
But fair enough, man. You wanted to pick a team that you'd seen. Like, I don't hate that. But they were 15-6. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of games to lose.
Yeah, but yeah, they were messing around. Like you said,
That's a lot of games to
they were
lose.
practicing. They were practicing in the regular season,
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, but that doesn't give you automatic bragging rights to be the best team ever. You still got to win games
and they won it when
playing
they mattered.
around.
And they won it
Yeah, the
when they
top.
needed to win. They won.
Yeah, they ain't a top 5 ever NFL team for me. But you do you, player.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that was your number 2, and then who do you have
Yeah, that was
first?
number
You
2.
had them ahead of the 89. Anyway, you had them ahead of the 89-49. Anyway, who's your
Yeah.
number 1?
Okay, so it's the Patriots of the 2014, and
Yeah,
why
that's
I said
brazen.
that. Yeah, okay, so obviously you chose 2007. I chose that team because they got over the hump. They had won three. They had won three. They were kind of going through a. They were kind of going through a new project. Like they had lost. They had lost some of the players that had got them to the 2007 Super Bowl, to the 2011 Super Bowl when they lost to the Giants again. Um, and they were going they were regrouping, and they got over the hump, and they finally won it, and then that's what sparked almost like the second part of their dynasty, because there was the first part of the dynasty where they won, was it 4 Super Bowls in like 5 years, was it 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, and then when they won it in 2014, they then went on to win another two in the next 3 years, well, next 4 years. So I was like, that 2014, it got them over the hump, and then this is when we saw the players like Rokowski and Edelman really come to the forefront. So I was like, yeah, like that was the team. Maybe stats wise, they weren't the best. They weren't even the best team of that second era. But for me, that 2014 getting over the hump is the most important thing.
That was the one where what's his name? Cornerback stripped the ball away just on the goal line, wasn't it? Where he intercepted it right on the goal line, wasn't it? From Russell Wilson's pass, and everyone was saying he should have handed it off to
Oh,
Marshawn Lynch, and that won them the game.
yeah. I remember. Oh,
Was
people
it
still
Butler?
don't let.
Was it Malcolm Butler?
Yes, the people don't let Pete Carroll live that down. That will
Yeah, because
haunt
everyone's
Pete
saying he
Carroll
should
to
just
the
hand it
rest of
off
his
to
days.
Marshawn Lynch. You had the best running back in the league. Hand it off to Marshawn Lynch, and he did it. And he passed it, and they'd prepped that whole week. I've seen like clips of them being of the guy who did. So they had a defensive guy who who brought up all the plays of the opposing team they're going to play, and said these are the main plays that they run. This is what we should prep for defensively, and then gave them to Bill Belichick, and that was one of the plays. And Malcolm Butler had like prepped the whole 2 weeks before on that one play, and like 3 or 4 or 5 others, and he'd prepped that play, and he said he saw it straight away and just went for it. Like, I was like, damn, they prepped that play. Like,
I mean,
cooked him. Yeah, it
there
was rough.
there was a reason why they called didn't they call Marshawn Lynch like beast mode or something?
Yeah, man, guy was an
I'm not
absolute
surprised. He did.
machine.
Nickname
It was
Beast Mode.
horrifying.
Yeah, and they didn't give it to him on the most important play. But it is what it is, man.
So you've seen like how challenges where you're like, would you rather like take 1 million now, or you have 25 chances to tackle Marshawn Lynch in the open field for 10 million if you tackle him once, and stuff like that.
Open
And
field.
yeah,
No chance.
I'm like,
No
no.
chance.
I'm probably more likely
No
to get.
chance.
I'm probably more likely to get a concussion than get him anywhere near taken down. Guy was absolutely huge. I think even now in his state, like he's retired, like 7 or 6, 7 years retired. I think he'd still give me a concussion before I tackled him. No chance.
Yeah,
Prime Marshall Lynch. I might die. That guy was massive. Yeah. The only reason, so a couple of reasons why I had the '07 Patriots ahead of them. So the '07 Patriots were 16-0.
yeah.
That's a pretty big factor for me. Like they were 16-0 and then they lost. Um, like Tom Brady's Randy Moss was unstoppable. The defense was unbelievable. They were winning games by an average of 20 points per game, which was obviously the 31 through a 315 point differential. Like I don't know. Just looking at some couple of rankings, some people have that 2014 team the fourth best Patriots team. They got the '04 and the 16 Patriots ahead of them. That 16 God, didn't pick the 16 team that won against the Falcons after being down 28-0 at halftime. That'd be enough to consider
No,
them on their own. Damn,
that's
that
just
game was
nah.
crazy good.
That's Matt Ryan and Kyle Shanahan just wetting the bed. That's all I see.
Wet in the bed.
They, they wet the bed.
It's a new one.
Good
How you
God, wet
how
in the
you up that
bed.
much? How you up that much and you lose?
I mean, yeah, but people put that down to Tom Brady's greatness. But yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
fair.
enough. Fair enough. So for me, I had the 72 Dolphins. Now, I think I'm going to chalk this up to you picked dynasties because you didn't answer the question properly. But
Yeah,
like
fair.
the 72 Dolphins were undefeated. They did not lose and won the Super Bowl. Like that's what separates them from that '07 Patriots team. Like
Mm.
similar in terms of like just true dominance, but some people have kind of I read a few other because when I was doing research on this, I had a look at a few other rankings, and a lot of people had the Dolphins like third, and the main reason they didn't have them first was because they didn't play great teams. Like I said before, like they did have to beat this. Like I think I mentioned this before. No, that was actually a different team I was talking about. But their opponents were pretty bad. So the only great team they really had to play was the Steelers. But the Steelers were going for their fourth Super Bowl in 6 years, so they beat them, I think, in the Super Bowl. So it's like they didn't have to beat many great teams, but I actually would argue this is in their favor because a lot of teams, when you're like, oh, if you play really bad teams throughout the whole year and then you go up against a really good team, you can sometimes take an absolute kicking in those games because you're not prepared to play a team that good. They played an exceptional Steelers team and beat them. Like,
yeah, it was AFC Championship.
Oh, it was AFC Championship, it wasn't the Super Bowl. But that sort of told,
yeah, they beat the Redskins in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was the Redskins. Yeah, but now the Commanders. But like, yeah, like to be like we played trash teams all year, but then when it actually mattered in a really big game, we played a great team and beat them. Like, I think that sort of turned it for me. I was like, actually, I don't think they were the third best team because one of the things I read had the 89 49ers first. Yeah, they were pretty nuts as well. I mean, all of these teams were crazy good. It's just a shame the 62 Packers didn't play many great teams and only played a 14-game season. And that the 72 Dolphins didn't play great teams either, other than the Steelers. Because honestly, if those two teams had just played like one or two other top 5 teams, they would easily be the best 2 teams. And particularly because, I like me some Packers.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah,
and didn't they name the Super Bowl trophy after your head coach?
The Lombardi, man. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the top 5.
All right, Ben. So let's hear your top 5 again.
All right, cool. So at 5, we've got the 62 Packers. At 4, we got the 07 Patriots. At 3, we got the 1989 49ers. At 2, we got the 78 Steelers. And at 1, I got the 72 Dolphins.
Okay.
I wish I could have mine, but I don't know.
I could have said anything on that list. I could have said anything, and you'd have been like, "Oh, say less." Yeah, no Hall of Famers, and had like a 3-14 record. Say less. Cool. Best team ever. Nice.
Are there any honourable mentions that didn't make your top 5, but you think that should at least get an honourable mention?
Because I saw them play and I was going to mention it, but you brought up before, was the 2019 Chiefs. That 2019 Chiefs team was nuts good. Like, so entertaining to watch. Loads of points. Tyreek Hill balling out. Like, just again because of teams that we'd actually seen. A lot of these teams were a long time ago. Yeah. And there's a lot of nostalgia that comes into it when people look at them. I think that's why they get rated so highly. But obviously they were really good, and I don't think that disqualifies. But when you actually see a team like that Chiefs team play, you kind of wonder how anyone would have beaten them in 2019. It's not really sure if anyone would have. Like, they were so good. But it's also a different game entirely, right? The 78 Steelers had a rule where they could just rock anybody after 5 yards. So you're not even playing the same game at that point. The rules are so different. It's really hard to compare. Like that Steelers team, everyone's like, that's one of the meanest teams to ever play. Like, Mean Joe Green, man. He had mean in his name. Like, they were just absolutely killing everybody. It's like... They were playing an entirely different game of physical football. Like 20 years later, it's not really the same game, and even 40 years later, it's a completely different game. And we're 50 years on from that Dolphins team winning. It's just a different game entirely. And that's the only problem we've got.
I mean, next season's going to be a different game even. There's been so many rule changes, and we'll do a rule change episode at some point potentially. But there's been loads of rule changes in this offseason.
Yeah, we'll get into some rule changes a little bit. As we said, there's not much going on over the next couple of weeks, so maybe get into that. But yeah, like it makes sense that you adapt the rules depending on how the game's moving to make it remain interesting for fans, get new viewership, things like that. Because it is an entertainment industry at the end of the day, right? It's trying to get viewership and it's trying to get people watching. So if you're losing viewership because kickoffs are boring, kind of need to do something about that, which I get, and they also have to do something about the amount of damage that one cornerback was causing on the Steelers team. So I get it, but it's a different game, really.
Yeah. I think for me, my honourable mention was the Giants in 2007. So they stopped They
Of course,
like
could be the
they
champion.
Nah.
they stopped the Patriots going through a whole season undefeated, which is just a massive thing in itself. Like Eli,
Yeah, but how many wins did they get?
oh, I don't
Uh,
even know how many wins, but they got the most important win, which is all that matters. So like Eli Manning, he actually beat Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls, which I don't think anyone's done. So like Eli Manning was
mm,
definitely some form of
yeah.
kryptonite for Tom
Yeah,
Brady.
they
Um,
fit.
Damn it, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this.
well,
Okay, cool. They were 10-6, and guess who their defensive coordinator
Yeah.
was?
Steve Spagnuolo.
Spags.
Bro, he's
Your
been
boy
balling from
Spags.
day. He's been balling
Yeah,
from day.
man.
Yeah, man. Nah,
They
yeah,
had
Okay.
nah,
no
the
right to
Giants.
be there. 10 and
Yeah,
6. They had no right to be there. They
bids,
squeaked in.
bids. One of our favorite NFL personalities played for that team.
Oh yeah, OC.
Yeah, OC.
OC
Yeah.
was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so
my
Antonio
man,
Pierce was
OC.
there. Antonio Pierce was in that team.
Oh yeah.
Michael
Yeah.
Strahan
Oh,
was there as
Strahan
well.
was an absolute animal.
Mm. And my favorite wide receiver ever, Plaxico Burris.
One more time.
What's wrong with you? Plaxico
You
Burress.
want to spell that?
Nah, I'm good.
Plaxico Burress, man. What the hell?
Yeah,
Plaxico.
man.
I've just seen it. Plaxico Barres.
Damn.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
yeah.
What else we got? Anything else?
No, that's it for best NFL teams.
Sweet. All right,
Yeah,
cool. So we'll do episodes once every couple of weeks. Things are a bit slower
yeah,
in the off season, so we'll be releasing an episode once every couple of weeks rather than once every week, like you've probably noticed. Um, but when the season kicks up and we start getting a lot more stuff heading into the new season, we'll start doing a little bit more regularly again. But we'll be getting some shorts and bits and pieces out, so you'll hear from us still. Anything else, or are we good?
no, we're
Good.
good.
You want us to drop some random teams and random player names, and you can just nod along, Bids.
Mm. Yes,
Mm.
sir.
Mm.
Hingle McCringleberry.
Hingham McCrickleberry. Yeah, best wide receiver going. Oh, jeez. All right, cool. That's it then. Cool. All right, then we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.